Today, I find myself reflecting deeply on the profound differences between the doctrine of Christ and the doctrines of man. The more I ponder these contrasts, the more I realize how crucial it is to anchor my beliefs and actions in the teachings of Christ rather than being swayed by the ever-changing currents of human thought. The first and most striking difference lies in the origin of these doctrines. The doctrine of Christ is divine, eternal, and unchanging, stemming directly from the very nature and will of God. It is revealed to us through the scriptures and embodied in the life and teachings of Jesus Christ. In contrast, the doctrines of man are products of human reasoning, shaped by culture, experience, and personal biases. They are as varied as the minds that conceive them and often reflect the limitations and imperfections inherent in human understanding. This difference in origin naturally leads to a difference in authority. The doctrine of Christ carries absolute authority because it is rooted in the unchangeable truth of God. Jesus himself said, "Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass away." Matthew 24:35. This assurance gives me confidence that no matter how the world around me shifts and changes, the teachings of Christ remain a solid foundation on which I can build my life. On the other hand, the doctrines of man, while they may hold sway for a time, lack this same certainty. They are often subject to debate, revision, even rejection as new ideas and perspectives emerge. Their authority is, at best, temporary and contingent upon the whims of human thought. When I consider the purpose of these doctrines, the contrast becomes even more pronounced. The doctrine of Christ is focused on eternal matters, such as salvation, spiritual growth, and living according to God's will. It aims to transform individuals from the inside out, preparing them not just for this life, but for eternity. Jesus came to offer us life, and life more abundantly, John 10:10, a life that is rooted in a relationship with God and guided by His truth. The doctrines of man, however, tend to focus on temporal concerns. They might address issues of social order, personal fulfillment, or intellectual inquiry, but they rarely, if ever, touch on the deeper, eternal questions of the soul. Even when they offer moral or ethical guidance, they often do so from a limited, worldly perspective that fails to consider the eternal implications of our actions. The impact of these doctrines is also worth considering. The doctrine of Christ has the power to truly transform lives, communities, and even societies. Its emphasis on love, forgiveness, and service has led to profound changes throughout history, influencing laws, social norms, and personal conduct. It calls us to a higher standard, one that reflects the character of God Himself. In contrast, the doctrines of man, while they may bring about temporary improvements or advancements, often lack the same lasting impact. Because they are based on human ideas, they can lead to division, conflict, and even moral decay as different groups and individuals pursue their own versions of truth. Finally, I'm struck by the difference in truth and infallibility between these doctrines. The doctrine of Christ is infallible because it is grounded in the eternal truth of God. Jesus proclaimed, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." John 14:6, and this truth is unchanging, reliable, and absolute. It offers a clear and certain path for those who seek to follow God. On the other hand, the doctrines of man are inherently fallible. History is full of examples where human ideas, once held as truth, were later proven wrong or harmful. Human doctrines, by their very nature, are limited by our finite understanding and are prone to error. As I reflect on these differences, I am reminded of the importance of grounding my life in the doctrine of Christ. While it can be tempting to follow the latest trends or ideas, I know that only Christ's teachings offer the true, unchanging, and eternal guidance I need. The doctrines of man may offer insights or temporary solutions, but they cannot compare to the life giving truth found in the doctrine of Christ. This realization challenges me to continually seek God's wisdom, to align my life with His will, and to trust in His unchanging word, even when the world around me is shifting. In the doctrine of Christ, I find my peace, truth eternal, where doubts and fears cease, while men's doctrines waver like shifting sand. Christ's words are the rock on which I stand, His teachings divine, unchanging, and pure, guide my steps through life's trials endure. Their thoughts may glitter, but fade with time, yet Christ's light shines, steady, sublime. In His wisdom I trust, forever secure, for only His truth can truly endure. The doctrine of Christ is my steadfast guide, a truth unshaken by the winds of time, where peace and clarity abide. While the doctrines of men shift like the sands, full of fleeting thoughts and temporary stands, Christ's teachings remain pure, divine, and sure. In His eternal wisdom I find my rest, for where man's ideas may falter and fade, Christ's light shines unwavering, a beacon in the dark. His truth enduring and secure, He's the rock upon which my soul stands firm through all of life's trials and beyond.